All right, welcome everybody to today's live streaming of the Four Crowns here at Lanes Raceway. About to get underway in the Wing Car Series race here as we see some of the guys right now getting their cars and stuff hooked up. We're fixing to get started here very quickly. Let's see here. Trying to get us into our Restream IO so that you guys can see the live stream here. So it might be just a second before I can get that up and going. But we are streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch currently. If you guys want to join in on the action. All right, racers, are you ready? Watch your lights. All right, here we go. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get this situated here. So we're already what looks to be into our first incident here. Fix this right here for the chat. As you guys know, I had to redo everything. So I'm just now getting some of this stuff back up and running. And that's going to be a strike there for green. So let's go ahead and get a strike there on green real quick. And another yellow flag here. 1 second, folks. I gotta get my wallet out. All right, there you go. Easy. That's pitiful. Hey, he told me to go ahead and go. So Randy Kirtley right now, he's in the race, guys. He's currently indisposed right now. So he will probably get in towards the middle of the race, maybe a little bit later. But he told us to go ahead and go on with the race without him. So we're going to go ahead and race without him here. He'll try to get some laps here a little bit later. So that's going to be a strike. On orange. Car coming off there in the donut. Be a strike there on red. Some new changes to our rules just to kind of define them a little bit better and make them a little bit easier for the guys. You can see everybody behind a blue line now. Well, you probably can't see the blue line right now. Once they go to a break, you'll be able to see it. And that's to keep everybody behind that line so everybody's got a good enough viewing angle. And this is going to continue on for all of the other series and stuff that we have here at Lanes Raceway and RC Racing. And just make sure everybody's got enough room there. We did make some of a tiny modification there for younger kids, kind of like Gunner, and he has to ask the guy to his left how far he can move in, and they'll okay him for that. But if anybody crosses the line and gets called out on it, we'll give them a strike after the first instance to negate them from doing so that everybody has an equal way of racing here. Another one of the rules that we had checked that it's really just a little bit more defined teching. Where before I was just teching the sides, we now tech the rear of the car right where the gear is at, and if it drags or anything like that, then they have to put tires on it bigger, or they have to get it fixed. Jonathan, 1985, how? Hello, Lanes Raceway. Hello, Jonathan. And then we had one other rule. The person that has a issue with their car, you know, we have the yellow track button there. The person that has an issue with their car, um, they are the ones that have to hit the track button. So it looks like Glenn Burton's going to pull his car there. I might have missed one of his strikes there. Oops. So on green, I guess I missed one of his strikes. So he's now on 3. Trying to get the live stream rolling here. As we can see, 0 drop frames here, and that's a blessing because we have had some issues with our live stream the past week or so since we've been trying to live stream some of the drag races. Now, as you can tell here on this screen, this is our security camera system, by the way, guys. That's why our cameras are not like super, super high fidelity, but we use that for security things, but we secondary use it for live streaming. This is the same camera we use for the drag race too, our end of the line drag race there. So I'll be a strike there on blue there first. Special thanks to our sponsor, Livermore, Kentucky Subway here right next door to us, 270-278-5999 to get yourself a big old sub sandwich. I've been eating a mess out of them this past week. We've been down here quite a bit trying to work out some of the RC issues that we've been having. And head over here to TrackMate, take a little gander here. Nathaniel Burden out in the lead, 33 laps, tied with Jay and Guillermo. Gunnar Bender there, 27, and Glenn Burden with 24. Going to head over here to the strikes real quick. Go ahead and clear those out. But you can kind of see our RC track here. From the previous week, we've now got little spots for the cars to line up at in a staggered mode here. And we've been getting the questions, why are they so far spaced apart? Well, the reason we've spaced them out that far was so that they wasn't rear-ending each other, because when we was lining them up on the back stretch before, we'd line them up pretty tight, and the guys in the back would jam their cars into the guys in the front, spin them out. So at least this way it's a little bit spread out, and they can't blame it on an accident of the trigger finger. Always trying to make it to where there's no accidents involved for sure. But they're planning on doing some races Tuesday. And of course, we have our main event late model series that we'll be doing, and we're going to try to run live RC again this week. We've done a lot of modifying. The day that we were actually off because of the snow, I actually drove down here in the snow with my brother and my dad, and that's where we come up with some of the rules. You can now see the blue tape there just to the right of Glenn Burden there. That's the line they have to stay behind, giving each other room. That was one of the things that got done. Like I said, we painted the white lines on the RC track, and then we went over a full race, test race on live RC, and got that going on. A special thanks to some of the guys Jason Howard talked to, some other RC places around the way in Evansville and stuff. Some of those guys willing to help us out and get us lined out on trying to get the RC program, one RC program going here at Lanes Raceway with that software. So we're very thankful for those guys in helping us out. But I think we got a good go of it. We got a good little series section in there that we can draw from, put the people in it, and get to racing some RC action. Now, of course, the only series that night that's going to get a sticker, a gold sticker or first place sticker, is going to be our main event late model crate model class, which is right out of the box the way they come. No modifications, one RC parts included. We do have a super late model class that we're trying to get started up, and I believe we're going to be running open wheel modifieds, midgets, and sprint cars coming this week too. So it'll be pretty exciting to see those races take place as we're fixing to go back green racing here. See a little slow start there on the white lane. Nathaniel Burden there taking his time. So we see a car colliding underneath, I believe, Dead Man's Corner there. We had a specialty drag race last night. We didn't end up live streaming. I had some computer issues. And of course, it being Saturday, I couldn't block off the circle track because Saturday is also our test and tune day. So there was no priority, and they'll never really be a priority on Saturday for that reason. That way, Saturday is always an open day that you can come in here and do whatever you want to do, and nobody's going to have an advantage over you or nothing like that. But like Thursdays and Fridays is our drag racing night, so they do have priority there. And the orange track and the oval track are shut down on those nights. But Saturday, not the case. We have little fun specialty races and stuff like that on Saturday. And this past Saturday was a drag racing day. We did no prep drag racing. So the guys were not allowed to clean the track. We cleaned it once before the race, put some fresh glue down, and we ran us a race, and nobody was able to touch it. And it ended up pretty interesting, to say the least. Some guys' cars were all over the place. Other guys' cars kind of stayed pretty true. It was just pretty interesting to see it. And this next coming Saturday, I believe we got planned another drag race. We're going to do a kids drag race, and then if there's not a lot of kids and we got some time after, we're going to fire up another one, and we're going to do a pro tree drag race, which if you guys know what that is, it does go one light, one yellow, two yellow, three yellow, etc. It just goes all three yellows. So white and green, I'm going to take strikes there. And they all light up at once, and then boom, it goes green. So I think that'll be pretty interesting. And we're always kicking around different stuff. Or I think we're going to try to do some bracket racing too, like index style, 11.99, 12.99, stuff like that, where that they have to fall into those categories. And I think that'll make some more interesting finishes for sure. Because very seldom do you ever see the cars cross the lines really, really close. Uh, but 1 second, folks. I'm going to go over here and check on the guys and see what's going on here. All right, so it looked like we had a little bit of an issue there with the braid. Had a little hump in it, and it caught uh, Nathaniel's braid. John, I wish I was there. John, I wish he was here. We do have a pretty good time here for sure. These guys are running Group 20 wing cars here, sponsored by Livermore Subway for the Four Crowns. They're putting up $1,000 for the guys, and we're coming into the last back half of the Four Crowns. These are all makeup races now, so you're not going to probably see every week a full pack because the majority of these guys already got their races, and a lot of them have just accepted that they're not going to be King of Lanes Raceway. But there's another strike there for Green Lane. Of course, Gabriel Kirtley not being able to make it here today, and Randy Kirtley, of course, not being able to make it right now. He might come in about middle of the race here and get his car in there. We went ahead and entered him, as he did say he was going to be here around a quarter till 2, but as you guys can tell now, it's almost 2:13, so we went ahead and started the race right at 2, gave him a 15-minute leeway. As we got 4 races to go through here, so you guys know how it is. We usually get done right at about 9 or so. So we see a car coming off. I'm guessing that's Gunner's third strike there. So Gunner is off Green Lane right now. Your current leader right now is Jay Latham at 45 laps, followed by Guillermo Sire. He's just right on his toes there at 45. Nathaniel Burden there at 42. Glenn 37 and Gunner 34. John, I had the pleasure of racing semi-pro for 13 years in Indiana, 3 times a week. I miss it a lot. John, that's saying something. Semi-pro slot car racing. I mean, the pros, you've seen the pros run. They're unreal crazy. The semi-pros are just right there with them. I would say the closest guys we got to semi-pros probably Guillermo right there on the far right there with his hoodie on, and Randy Kirtley. I would say is probably about as close as we got. Randy Kirtley and Gabriel Kirtley and Josh Reinerson. A couple weeks ago, they went and raced the Flexi Challenge down there in Tennessee and had a pretty good time. And I think they were planning on going to Georgia last week, but then it got snowed out. So that's about as semi-pro as we got. But I'm telling you, those guys are tough. And if you're semi-pro, we need more guys like you. Of course, here at Lanes Raceway, we're always trying to get guys that know what they're doing racing wise, because we want to push the fast scene of slot car racing and push slot car racing into the mainstream if at all possible. That would be great. Jonathan, 1985, how is the oval track going to be raced in today? Yeah, it will be. It's going to be coming up next race. Actually, we're going to be doing the hometown heroes on the oval. So right now we're in round robin 2 of 8. 20 seconds left to go. As soon as this one's done, we'll be doing the hometown hero, and we'll be doing it. Now the oval RC track we won't be racing today. Our radio control track, and I can show you that here. So this is our radio control track. We won't be racing it, but we will be racing this oval track today. Our tri-oval slot car racing. It is coming up next, the hometown heroes dirt class that we got. So that's going to be a strike there on purple lane. 6 seconds left to go in the heat. Jay Latham, 67 laps. Guillermo Sires, 67. They're, like I said, right on each other's heels. But don't count Nathaniel Burden out. He's been gone on a hiatus for a couple weeks on vacation. But one thing's for sure, he's been tough competition here in the Four Crowns. Wife right now working currently on the new design for the Four Crowns t-shirt for these guys. It's the only shirt all season long that actually have an Ingram name on our members. So all of our members that keep their memberships up through the Four Crowns will have Ingrammed Four Crowns shirts. Now everybody else that's in the Four Crowns will still get a shirt, but it won't be Ingrammed with their name. Jay Latham, 68. Guillermo, 68. 62 for Nathaniel. 59 for Glenn. And 34 for Gunner. Gunner's currently working on his car as we speak. But last year's Four Crowns, pretty eventful. We got the pictures made of all the guys. Of course, Jay Latham's still currently the king of Lanes Raceway until the end of this year's Four Crowns. And, of course, we're now into New Year's. Some things took place. We ended up pushing some of our series a little long and had to miss a few weeks every once in a while. So we're kind of going overboard a little bit. We should have technically next week been completely done with the Four Crowns, but as you know, we got about 3 more weeks added to it. Randy Kirtley was the Lords of Lanes Raceway in the Red Series last year, which was our Wing Car Series, Group F. And Guillermo Sire was Hometown Hero and Late Model Crown, blue and green. And then Glenn Burden was our IndyCar Purple Crown last year, so he was Lord of Lanes Raceway in purple. Can't wait till basically April gets here. I'm anxious on racing. Uh, yes. So, Jonathan, are you going to try to come and race April in the Flexi Challenge here at Lanes Raceway? Gunner there, getting his stuff hooked up, getting ready for the next heat here. We got several classes that we're going to get started up come January, at the end of it, most likely. Um, we're going to be doing our first class is going to be the small cars. I believe we're going to do a sprint car that is from Mid America, and we're going to do a 4-inch GRC again. Also, Jonathan, do they just do races during the spring and stuff, it's kind of similar to how we used to do in the basement. We would wait till wintertime hit, pretty much late October, and we'd race all the way till about January uh, in the basement when we was running on this orange track all the time. Yeah, those will be our next two series. I think we're going to solidify because guys love the late model series, and we're going to get that going again. And then, of course, we're going to add the sprint cars to that action from Mid America. And then I believe we're getting set up for the next series after that, which will be our hard body series that we run, which is always our second series. And that'll be our springtime series. And we're going to do fairgrounds NASCARs and today's NASCARs. So guys are already getting their bodies and stuff set up for that. I live too far away. I bicycle ride to my local track. Too cold for me to race in the wintertime. I understand that, Jonathan. You'd have to bundle up quite a bit. Get you some hand warmers or something. Purple and black. Going to take strikes there. So I didn't clear these out before, I don't believe, but maybe I did. No, I didn't clear them out. It's got a minute and 46 seconds. That's my fault doing all that rambling. So let me go ahead and get the purple and black there. And the guys are keeping it pretty honest anyway. That gives me a little bit of leeway to talk to you guys and talk about racing and stuff too. John B., you racing son of a guns. We do a lot of racing here, John. Speaking, John, you been on here Facebook watching. Uh, you did win some tournament action here on the pinballs, so definitely don't forget to come in here and get some of that pinball action going. John, of course, helping us out quite a bit, getting a resurgence of pinball enthusiasts coming in here in Lanes Raceway and battling it out. And I'll tell you, John, you brought the competition. There has been several people come in here and try to battle you on these machines. And we had a couple last night come in and do a little bit of battling. And one guy come in here and he got a billion on Venom 2. Now, I'm not for sure. Let me see if I can look over here. Yeah, looks like he might have took you down a notch. But, you know, you can always come back and get it. John, of course, getting a billion on Venom. First one that we've seen get a billion. Majority of our pinball guys are local. A lot of them come from Island. Most of our business actually comes from Island, Kentucky. Most people don't even know where that's located, but it's about a 5 to 10 minute drive from Livermore across the bridge there. Funny thing is, I live in Livermore, and other than my dad, I can't really think of anybody from Livermore that actually comes here to race. John B., nice. I'm missing your excellent machines. Dang snow. I understand, John. I guess it hit y'all pretty hard up there, didn't it? Blue lane's going to receive a strike here. I know that freezing rain made us shut it down there for a little bit. Jonathan, hopefully you don't have to close anymore for the rest of the winter. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, man. But I'll tell you, we've been doing a lot of praying, me and my wife, and I know some fellas here about what's going on in California and everything. And then, of course, praying for people here that's getting snowed in and everything. When that ice storm rolled through here last week, it was pretty brutal. That was hard to drive on. The snow, it wasn't bad to drive on. I just went slow and I kind of got here. I hit the brakes, of course. You know, I kind of slid forward. I got an old 90s model Ford F-150 that I drive. And, you know, it doesn't have the best of tires, but, you know, Lord willing, I made it here for sure to get some stuff going on. But, yeah, it's like I told the wife, I said, I'm kind of worried about the people there in California, all those people with their fires. I've seen a lot of videos that not very few videos have touched me the way that those videos have. People just crying. It just breaks my heart. Guillermo Sire in the lead, 105 total laps, 93 tied up. Glenn and Nathaniel, 79 for Jay Latham there in fourth, 69 for Gunnar Bender. John B., yeah, we got a dose of ice, snow, and cold. Yeah, it's hit us past couple of weeks for sure, right in this area. Pretty hard coming out of Texas. Side road's been bad. Yeah, see, that's the main effect here. So getting here from my house, I live about approximately a mile from here, and that was the big deal where I had to go really, really slow. And there's a downhill slope of a road that leads onto the highway, and I'll tell you, I was going about 2 miles an hour, and I hit the brakes during the freezing rain because I had to get out and get gas because I was afraid it was going to kill the power. And I got off on that incline, and when I did, and I was going literally no faster than 2 miles an hour. I mean, you could walk faster than my truck was going. And I hit the brakes, and that thing just kept sliding and kept sliding. I just started turning the wheel back and forth like I was on a dirt track, just trying to get some grip somehow. And I finally stopped, but the front of my car was out in the middle of the road out there where Holiday Video used to be here in Livermore. But anyways, I made it down here fine, and then went to BP, which is just right up the road. Noticed that the gas station had bags on their thing. I was like, well, goodness. And I'd heard that Sam's, which is right down the other side of the road, right before the bridge, that their gas station was closed that day. I said, well, we got to get gas. Like, I have to have gas because the next day I had to go do orders because I couldn't do them that day. So we went all the way to Owensboro to get gas, and I'll tell you, man, that was sketchy that day. Jonathan, 1985. How? With me living in northern Indiana, I'm surprised I haven't got much snow or ice. Yeah, usually you guys get hammered by it, especially right off the lakes area. Guys right off the lakes, man. I'd heard stories from my uncles. They drive trucks up there and do loads. They're truck drivers for a living. And they would always tell me about how they go in there and the snow doesn't go straight down. It goes sideways up there by them lakes. And it's just solid white. Problem with Kentucky, though, is every time it gets cold outside, it's wet cold, and it is worse than a dry cold ever thought about being. Well, I'm not saying we don't ever have dry cold days, we do, but man, some of the wet cold days, man, will drive you nuts. They'll freeze you to death. I'm with Jonathan. We must be close. I live here too. Well, you guys should meet up and do some slot car racing. Speaking of pinball, up north, northern Indiana, Illinois area, that's the hot spot for pinball action. That's where Stern's at and everything. I'm excited about the new Dungeons and Dragons pinball machine. We're going to get that here at Lanes Raceway just as soon as they become available. Yeah, yeah. My uncle John, he's been taking loads up there ever since I could remember, and he explains it that way exactly. I always asked my dad growing up. He's pretty intelligent, and I always would say, "Why would people choose to live there?" And he gave me a big to do about the lakes and stuff and how that people used to use the rivers all the time, and that's why I got real big up there. And then of course the railroads linking it all together and stuff too. I said, well, I guess that makes sense, but man, it takes a special individual to like cold like that. I've never really fared well in cold. Makes my skin dry and everything else. I guess we get all four seasons here: hot summers, cold winters, and about a week worth of fall and spring, which fall's my favorite time. Jonathan says, I don't have any pinball machines in my area that I know of. Used to when I was a kid, but that's been 25 or so years ago. Jonathan, that's how it is almost all over the U.S. But you can go to a website called Pinsider, and you might be surprised if you're living up north of Indiana. There's quite a few. John B says D&D, nice. Yeah, that Dungeons and Dragons machine that they just come out with last week and showed previews for is blowing my mind. Where you can choose the classes and everything and play pinball like an RPG. Yeah, I can't wait till we get that thing. So Purple Lane's going to receive a strike there. Sorry, I hit trackmate instead of my strike system. But yeah, I'm super excited. I've been doing nothing but binge watching people play it. Of course, they had a little bit of a playthrough preview. Stern did, and they kind of broke down all the game modes and stuff, John. Uh, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting how you can do the dungeon crawls, and they're procedurally generated. So every single week, it's a different dungeon. John says, haven't had a normal winter in like 10 years. You know, it's funny you say that. Here in Kentucky, you know, our winters used to hit when I was a kid. They would hit around October, into October, around Halloween, and it would just be cold from that point forward. Now it don't really get cold here till about middle of December. And I remember in '91, we ended up getting such a huge blizzard through this area that the snow drifts were up on the side of buildings that you couldn't even get inside the buildings. They were so big. So yeah, I mean, I know the weather's definitely changed on Earth, and I mean, somewhat for the better here in Kentucky. It's not as cold, but you know, I do miss the days where you could make huge underground forts, snow tunnels, and stuff, and have snow wars. You know, so Black's going to receive a strike there. I remember taking my dad's torch when I was a kid, and you know that was right whenever those portable torches just come out that you could screw in the propane tanks or whatever to them, and you know people set their trash on fire and everything. And I remember taking those and building these forts and going inside of our forts and like glazing the inside of it so that it would make like a hard ice so that it would hold up without having to have sticks and stuff put in it. Hey Brian, January is your coldest month. You know, I'd say January, towards the end of January is our coldest month, but February I'd say is starting to take the cake here. It's almost like our winters are shifting into our spring times. Because I remember March, it would be warm for the majority part of March, and now it's still blistering cold during March. It don't start getting a little bit decently warm till April. Yeah, John, weed burners. I wish we had one of them with like a rosebud tip that makes that really big fire that actually has some black soot that comes off of it. You could get it done quick with that. But we were using just the regular old torch and kind of put it on low where it would kind of just barely come out, and you could just glaze that whole thing. We'd have forts. We'd act like we was in World War II. Hey, John, it's funny you say you hear my wife, how many pinball games is enough? But you know, during the weeks on our nights off, we take a walk from our house and we'll come down here and we'll walk all the way from our house down here to Lanes Raceway and turn one set of lights on so we can see to get around, and we'll play pinball all night. So she's a big pinball nut too, John. So it works out great, and she's excited about it too. So that's cool. That'll be Blue's second strike there. And there's a couple other ones I really want. Like I've been really wanting Jaws. I want Jaws. A buddy of mine, he's like, man, you need to get Jaws. And the funny thing was, he was saying that before Jaws even was a thing. And those that know things about Stern pinball, you used to could, and we got one of them actually, our pro machine here, the Jurassic Park. When you take it apart and you look at the playboard, on the playboard it actually says Jaws, because that was one of the names for the pinball machine before it was going to come out. They didn't know they were going to get the IP for Jurassic Park, so they were going to make a uh, shark slash dinosaur game that was called Jaws. And that's a little bit of nerd information for you. You probably don't even really want to hear about that, but uh, you know, the Iron Maiden too. It has some kind of Egyptian type terminology on their playboards. So if you ever get a chance and you're bored and you guys just want to see what they name these boards before, you know, uh, they actually come out with actual IPs, you know, I'm down. I'll take the top board off and show you guys. It's just kind of cool to see how they think about things when they're building the stuff. John, I am a lucky guy. My wife is the best woman on planet Earth, to be honest with you. I couldn't ask for a better wife. She helps me here at the slot car track. She don't charge hourly. Guillermo Sire is in the lead right now, 141, 129 for Nathaniel Burden. Glenn Burden, 115, 104 for Gunner, 81 for Jay. Jonathan says, even though I'm anxious to get back in racing in April, I have been getting into one of my other hobbies, so I don't know if I'll do as much racing as last year. Well, Jonathan, what is the other hobby, man? You know, I'm always interested in getting into other hobbies. I'm always hobby tinkering and stuff. Here lately, I've been getting into the hobby of video gaming with a couple of my buddies and friends here at the track, Jay Latham and a friend of mine since I was a kid, Daniel. We've been getting on and playing a medieval game where that we create our own medieval town, and we just now got horses, so we're super excited about that. It's been a while in the making. We also play a lot of dwarvish games too. I like the dwarvish games. But I've been working on a Bill Elliott model here recently for Blake Smith. You guys probably know Blake Smith from Let's Talk Racing in the local area, and he's a big Bill Elliott fan. So I've been really doing my best job that I possibly can on his car. It's one of my first models that I put together in a while. U.S. coins and paper currency. My granddad was really big into that. Uh, and I'll tell you what, before he passed away, he had, the old distillery bottles that you would distill like wine and stuff like in it, and you'd put the bung in the top and everything. He had one of those completely filled with nothing but wheat pennies. Ain't no telling how much that stuff's worth. John, I had the pleasure of racing in 3 states in the 90s and 2000s, and 3 states I enjoyed whipping Ron Hirschman. Ooh, now that is a badge right there, John. I don't know, man. If you're beating up on Ron Hirschman, see you're in the pro leagues there, on 2 different tracks using my own setups and building my own motors. Yeah, if you're doing that, man, you're a pro. There ain't no semi-pro about that. So Ron Hirschman. I still go back and watch his YouTube videos and stuff when he's talking about slot car racing. Been racing short tracks after the last track closed. John, see, that's something we've battled here in the Kentucky area ourselves down south is tracks closing, man. Owensboro, when I was a kid, we would get so much slot car stuff together, and we'd go to race at these places, and then people would increase their rent on these people, and they'd have to shut the track down because it takes a lot of real estate to run these tracks. And to get a building big enough, you're talking some serious rent, especially in the bigger cities. So they went through like 3 or 4 tracks when I was younger. We go to Evansville in Indiana and race there, and they did them the same way. Orange and blue going to take a strike there. I need to clear this out. I didn't clear it out from before. There we go. But yeah, and then they all just closed the tracks down, and there was just a time that literally there was no tracks to be around here. And when that happened, we were stuck with a bunch of cars. So Dad built this orange track in 2000, and we raced in the basement, and that kind of tied us over until, uh, tracks started to appear again, really. And I'm glad they have. I mean, I enjoy it. I try to work with tracks as much as I can, but the thing is, the guys that race the same stuff in the same way we race, they're in Pennsylvania or they're up there where you guys are. Been in it for 25, big history guy. That's what led me into it. I'm still into sports, trading cards, baseball, basketball, and football. That's cool. Have you, Jonathan? You ever see some of these guys online doing the trading cards like Pokemon and stuff too? Man, there's some big money to be had in all that action. So blue there, going to take a strike. Plus inventory is very expensive. Yeah, including those Pokemon cards. I've looked at a set of them before, trying to play Magic the Gathering and stuff like that with some friends, and man, it'll blow your mind how much that stuff costs. It says, where did you race in Evansville? It was actually in the mall, John B. They had a place in the mall that we used to go up there. We'd race circle truck uh, flexi cars, and they were there for a year or so, a couple years. Yes, John, internet and eBay have killed a lot. Tracks definitely, that's going to be a strike there on yellow. Tracks definitely had to get a little more aggressive with that sort of thing. We got a way that we kind of combat eBay a little bit. We help sell the guys cars using our influence on Facebook and stuff like that to get their stuff sold. We take a small portion of that that helps Lanes Raceway out. Otherwise, they would just be swap meeting and trading and stuff in here, and then we don't sell stuff, and then the rent don't get paid, and then Lanes Raceway shuts down. Essentially, that's how the things end up working. We are blessed that my brother does own the building though, so things do work out for that. We just might end up having to go to a club. We'd never fully shut Lanes Raceway down. It just might turn into a club environment if we can't make it work on the retail side of things. Jonathan says, yep, I don't sell my stuff. I have my cards from when I was 8 years old. My brother, he's got his cards from when he was 8 years old, and I'll tell you, he's got a rookie card Pete Maravich, and my uncle gave it to him. And it was funny because back then, them cars, uh, they were huge. The cards now, about the size of a business card, a little bit bigger. But these cards that he had, that my uncle gave my brother, they were literally like the size of my forearm. They were huge. John Century Mall and Maryville had a brawl in the mall race. That was one place. Brawl in the mall. That is cool. Blue going to take a strike here. Did I already give him a strike? I don't know if I gave him a strike or not. He's on his second strike currently. Ooh, we have a car out here just ramped the median. That's pretty cool. So somebody hit the button here. We're under red flag condition here. John says, I've been collecting slot cars since 1968. All three scales. John, you got a collection then. My dad has some stuff from whenever he was a kid. Funny thing is, the car that he runs in the wing car class, which he just come in here and left. I don't know if he's coming back or not. But the car that he ran in this wing car series, we call it the Frost King. That's actually what we call him too. But his that car was from the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. It's back when you had to build your own cars. Uh, when I started racing, I guess it was early 90s, all the way through the 2000 eras and stuff like that. That's when I was real big into it. Was in the 2000 era. I can tell you this, like I tell everybody else, because I will never forget going to Slot City in Owensboro. Mumbo Number Five was the number one hit song. So that's whenever I was in my prime running FCR and everything else, and man, I was loving it every minute of it. Jay Latham too there with the American flag hoodie. He would come with us. Daniel Taylor, my brother, and my dad, and everything. We'd go up there and we'd race FCR, and you know, we had to build our own cars and stuff in some of the classes there, but that was kind of getting phased out by then. But yeah, I remember building your own cars, man, and I was not good at it. I'd build my stuff either too stiff or I'd build it too loose, and it just either way, it just wouldn't work good. But yeah, I remember going to a slot car track and you would just buy brass pieces of brass off the wall and piano wire, and you'd have to bend your own stuff up. And then I would use that flux because I was horrible at soldering, and I would try to flux over rusted piano wire, and it would never solder. And I was like, Dad, will you fix it? And he'd fix it, and then he'd build me something awesome, and then I'd tear it up. And we'd come back the next week, and it was rinse and repeat. My brother, though, he was pretty intuitive. He was always able to figure that kind of stuff out. So that's going to be a second strike there for orange. I might be messing all this up. No, it's 19 seconds left, so I am doing right, at least this heat. All of our IROC races were FCR. Yes, I mean, I love FCR. FCR was GRC now, but I mean, I guess he did start making FCRs again about 3 months ago. But, I mean, the stomp motors, man, that come in the GRCs are just, they're better, I think. I know they're throwaway motors, but they don't burn up, they don't smoke as often. So purple is going to take a strike there. So let's see. There used to be a slot car track next to ABC store on Washington Avenue in Evansville in the late 60s. Now, see, that would be during my dad's time. In the late 60s, they were racing in Island, Kentucky. Like I said, it's about 5-10 minutes from here. And it was across the bridge there right before you get to the Methodist church there in Island, Kentucky. John says rental cars. Pretty much, yeah. Some of the cars at my local racetrack are reinforced that way, made that way, and the track is a club. Yeah, I mean, it's good in an aspect. It's a club's good that you're always going to have the bills paid and stuff like that. Where the track ends up suffering a little bit with the club environment is that you may only make one order a month, Whereas retail stuff, you know, it's every week pretty much. Some of the cars says, John, I'm a subscriber to your channel. John, I appreciate that, man. The guys do too. Like I tell you guys, I'll just reiterate this. I say it pretty much every one of my streams. If we ever do get to the point where we can run advertisements, I would appreciate if you guys would watch them, for one. But if we ever do get to that point where a live stream here for Lanes Raceway is able to produce some sort of revenue, we're just going to have huge races here, and we're just going to put that money to the racers, and they'll just race for the YouTube revenue. Because I just I like the guys to have something to race for. Right now, you know, that's subject to our sponsorships through, you know, our local Subway here in Livermore, Kentucky, and we got a little deal with them, 10% both ways, 10% off of their sub sandwiches if you take our receipt, 10% off if you grab their receipt and bring it over here up to an item of $100. It's at his house in a barn. I vaguely seem I remember you talking about that, Jonathan. Uh, And of course, Gunner and Brian here, their granddad, or Gunner's granddad, has one in his barn. He's got a figure eight in his barn. But, you know, slot cars, you know, I think it's making a resurgence. I really do. People are looking for a hobby. They're looking for something to get out and be around people again. I think people are getting their feel, really, of the social media sitting in bed all day kind of thing. And I mean, I think we've all been there, especially during the pandemic when they wouldn't let you out of the house really. Uh, you know, I know that I got down in the dumps, but I'm the kind of guy I like being around people, so that was really tough on me. And you know, just sitting in there by yourself, looking at a phone, watching the same videos and stuff like that over and over again. That's how I got into pinball, by the way. I mean, I'd played pinball when I was a kid and always loved it, but I really got into pinball, like watching live stream pinball. You know, Zach and them up there in Indiana, in Evansville. I watched them guys like crazy. John says, "Does the winner still get funny money to spend at the track?" So yeah, in our series, they get a huge big check. I'll show you that next heat. They get a huge big check, and they get five the winner, and then second gets three, and third gets two. We only pay podiums through our regular series races, but then our four crowns we actually pay out cash too if we get sponsors. Jonathan, 1985 Hal, mine gives out certificates, and you can buy parts, and they don't expire either. Uh, we do expire our track bucks, but they usually spend them in time. We expire it after 1 year of getting it. John, it died the first time in 1967 for 25 years, so that's when it came back. So who knows? Yeah, true. Purple and black, they're going to receive strikes. I just know how much of a good time it is grouping up with some of your best friends and family and just taking road trips and going and racing slot cars, man. You know, it's the same kind of adrenaline push feel, butterfly feeling that you get from racing big cars, but you're not out the big expense, you know. And that's like I told my brother when we was talking about starting this place. I told him, I said, dude, I want it to be an event. You know, I want it to feel. You know, these guys come in here, they are racing. It's. I know a lot of people say, well, they're just hobby cars and it's just for fun, but it can be that. It can. But you can make it something more, and we try to make it more here. We celebrate the guys. We have banquets. You can go back and check some of our videos. I think I've clipped one where we did our celebration uh, in our Four Crowns last year, and that's how Gold Dust got his name. I hit him with a big bunch of gold dust, shot it all over the track and everything else. But that's how the guys get their nicknames too. So I mean, it just something that makes us laugh, and they end up getting a nickname. I collected enough funny money to buy an Omni controller. Lots of drivers every night. Yeah, I mean, we got a great rookie program here, but just not a lot of rookies. The area is kind of small on populace. That's the one thing that kind of hurts us here. We don't have a big population, But for a small populous area, Owensboro being our big town in this area, about 17 miles, uh, our rookie program's good. If you win the rookie program, you can only win it once, but you can always run it. So that, I think it's always best if you're running as a rookie with better people versus worse. So I always let the better people run in with them. But here's the thing, they can only win the rookie series once. If they win it, though, I let them choose what they want to get, and it's something to help them get better. So the last time we ran it, of course, Brian Bender got it. If you go back and check our fall series uh, banquet, he ended up getting a hoodie. So you guys know how much hoodies are. The Tire Traders hoodies, they're like $300-400. So that's what he wanted. That's what he thought would help him advance himself in slot car racing. And that's Brian right there, help track marshal right now. Gunner's, of course, running the race there on Yellow Lane. That's his son. But Gunner, he won it previously, and he got one of Jay's customized slot car boxes, and those are $450. So, well, our rookie series, we don't slouch in getting these guys set up. We want them to proceed and be the best that they can at slot car racing. I would love to send one to the Nationals race or something. That would be awesome. Oh, I messed something up. Sorry, honey. Entry level is a must, in my opinion, for what it's worth. It is, John. It really is. Because you can't put somebody that's never touched a slot car controller in a race like this, especially with these expensive cars. Some of these cars here that these guys are running are like $240, $250 a piece. And on a grand scale thing, we're talking RC and everything. Well, that ain't nothing. That's what everybody always says. Orange. Oops, sorry about that. And that's a red flag rotation. Nobody coming off that time. 1 second here, T. Go to track mate and clear that. Or not track mate. Sorry about that. Track mate, we can see Guillermo Sire in the lead, 210, 182 for Glenn Burden, 177 Nathaniel, 174 for Gunner, 139 for Jay, and Randy hasn't got his car in yet. He's over on the oval track right now, which will be on next, so I guess he's just practicing up for that. Let me go to our strikes here, clear them out. All right, T, what do you got? The back has to be each one of the winter, summer, spring, and fall, and it has to be little crowns, and then we have to put their points or their laps. So if you go back to our saved, yeah. Well, let me show you what you got to kind of mimic it off of. I mean, it's fine. I don't even know if we can still get that shirt. It's so old. Yeah, they ain't even gonna let me do that shirt. We'll work on it. I mean, I like some of the design. I do like the car there that you got going on. Hmm. T, do we got one of these big checks I can show the people on the stream what they get? Can you grab one off the wall and just show them real quick? John, it's been a pleasure chatting. I'll receive all notifications. I will be back. Excellent, John. Thank you. Well, before you go, she's going to grab one of these big checks here. I'll show you guys what our regular series guys get as a trophy. They always just post them up on the. I'll say it like on. I'll be back. Here she comes right now. Let me swap over here to this cam view here so that I can show you a little bit better. Thank you, T. So you can see how big this is. So this is Jackson Darty. He won our summer series here. We got that made for him, and of course he did receive $500 in track bucks for getting that also. And it's just something a little bit for the guys, to be racing for, a little bit of bragging rights. They put the stuff up on the wall. Uh, our king of Lanes Raceway, he gets a big old picture of himself, and I'm talking it's huge. Like, it is the size of the wall, and they have to look at it for a solid year. So, all these guys want to be the king. But our Lords of Lanes Raceway, they get little bitty pictures of themselves, and it tells you what crown they won, winter, summer, spring, or fall crown. And in Guillermo's case, he won 2 last year. So, but yeah, John, thank you for stopping in. Hopefully, see you come back again. I'll be back. Uh, Pretty cool. I actually just watched a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Jingle All the Way. I hadn't seen it in so many years, but going back and watching movies from the '90s, man, it just feels wholesome. Really, everything's so dark and about the end of the world nowadays. Like all you ever see is just depressing stuff on TV. I told TS about that microphone died again. But yeah, I told T, which is my wife, by the way. We used to call her T. It's not really her name. But I told her, I said, put something wholesome on from the '90s. I just watched something from the '90s, a carefree time. Best time of my life was in the '90s. John, very cool. We received small plaques with the name, number of the track on them. I kept a bunch of them. Yeah, I want to make these little bitty tiny plaques for the guys racing RC with event winner and stuff like that they can put it on their box. Because I've seen a few guys come in here with their box fully decked out in them. White going to take a strike there, and red also. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm trying to think who it was. It's Nicky. Nicky come in here, and where he had raced over there in Tennessee, car just flopped right off the S turn there. But where he had come in and raced, he usually races down in Tennessee, and he come in and raced. His whole box was just covered in just everything that he had won. He got first, second, third, and everything. And of course, Mark Stratton was telling him about the place. Mark drag races here at Lanes Raceway. So Black going to receive a strike there. Oh, that's what you got. So you got the ones that go on your box, John. Yeah, those are super cool. And you bring it in, and it looks like a that 1980 singer Bowie, with all the glitter all over himself on the album cover. Like that's what their boxes look like when they come in. But that's cool. Yeah, that's so cool, man. And it's good bragging rights too. When you roll up into a place with that right there, people are more apt to take you kind of serious. It's got a negative connotation to it too. You roll up in there with all that on there, they ain't going to be telling you secrets about the track. It is like a banner. It truly is like a banner. A banner for war, war of the slot cars. Another yellow flag there. I mean, this race has went quite quick. I love talking to you guys. Gives me a little something more to do than just shout out a bunch of numbers. Guillermo Sire is our leader, though, at 232, followed by Glenn with 200. Nathaniel and Gunner are tied at 197, and Jay Latham 156. The war started, John. Go out there and beat everybody at your local racetrack. Let us know about it, too. That'd be awesome. Hit us up on Facebook. I'll see you next time I'll see you next time we see you. I'll be back. Coming up next, guys, we're going to have the Hometown Heroes class on the Oval, and the guys have been working hard on those. Of course, the new rules might affect things, people not being able to crowd the track as much anymore. And then, like I said, us taking more of a centralized control over the cars, putting them out there ourselves and stuff so nobody could take them after tech. But we still run the checks on the FK motors to make sure resistances and stuff are within spec. And should be a pretty eventful little race. Since we've been doing that, we've been having some really, really tight racing in the stomp motor class for sure on the oval. And I'm excited for the new hard body class that we're going to be running here in a couple months. Got to get some made. So if you're wanting to get that going, you definitely need to come in and get one started up now to be ready for that in about anywhere from 2 to 4 months from now. We clear coat them with some car cleared stuff here at Lane's Raceway too. So if you guys are afraid to clear your cars, I'll clear them for you. Don't you worry one bit. So after that round robin seventh heat, we got Guillermo Sire out in the lead, 248 total laps, 214 for Glenn Burden, 212 for Gunner, 212 for Nathaniel, 168. And then we can take a look at the oval that they're going to be running on. We see the guys getting their stuff ready there. Randy Kirtler there in the upper left-hand portion. I don't know why he didn't get his old Frost King out and try to get a few laps there for the kingship. I figured he would have done that. Nonetheless, he hasn't ran any laps in this race so far. But the oval track coming up next, it's got some rubber laid down. You guys can see it in the corner there. The guys like the rubber being laid down on the oval. And it's been a smooth race. Guys very, very tight and close when it comes to their laps on the oval. And it tends to be a pretty quick run race for sure because there's a lot less uh, incidents that take place. So we got a disconnection here real quick. Let me go ahead and get that fired back up. All right, yep, I know the session's closed. Let me hit that up. There we go. About a minute and 30 seconds, we'll be back with you. I'm going to go over here and grab me a water real quick, and we'll get into our final round robin heat. We'll kind of focus in a little bit more on the racing here coming into the final heat and see who's going to bring us home. All right, about a minute. We'll be going back into it. I had to get me a water real quick. Oh, drunk me a nos earlier today. I had to come in a little bit earlier. I had to get the live stream situated here. And it looks like we're doing a little bit of hiccup in action here as it looks like some of the frames are starting to drop again here. I guess it is what it is. I got it to work at least for one night on the drag racing, but then I didn't have it all the way set up to run one of the smaller screens that we had. So hopefully it comes in. It's only video glitches like it's always been. I think a lot of it has to do too. We got a monitor up there on our rack, and it's kind of just flickering. Like I almost think it's about to go out, but we will bear through it. We start our next series, our first winter series coming up after the Four Crowns. I'll just redo everything again. Four red lights are dropping out to green. We're focusing in a little bit on Guillermo Sire, our current leader here, who is currently on orange lane as he goes under Dead Man's Corner around the horseshoe. Back under Dead Man's Corner now to his high outside there on red. He passes Glenn Burden. Glenn currently in second position as we get a yellow flag up underneath the bridge. And this is possible. Looks like two of them got hit there. So we a strike there on orange and a strike on green. As we go, orange and green kind of deciding who was going to go first. That'd be Guillermo and Jay. They're both trying to let each other go. Guillermo Sires out in the lead by about 30 or so laps right now. Probably nobody going to really touch him, so we might focus in on Gunner and Nathaniel currently. Gunner on white lane, Nathaniel on yellow. So white lane of Gunner is going to take a strike here. And green of Jay Latham going to take a strike. And here we go. Looks like White's going to make a jolt out there. 4 wide going through the horseshoe. As we get another yellow flag and a car off underneath the bridge. And Glenn Burden laughing a little bit. He might have got involved in something too. Brian going to move the car up there, and it looks like another strike for White. So right now, 2 strikes for White, 2 strikes for Green. Pretty smooth racing so far as we see Nathaniel Burden now taking on Glenn Burden there up on red lane. In Glenn Burden there. So Glenn Burden and Nathaniel on the same lap. Nathaniel there on yellow lane. That's going to put Nathaniel in a lead there after red lane takes a strike here. So like I said from the very beginning, got to keep an eye on old Nathaniel as he's wanting to make some moves here. And we're going to see him make that move into second position right now. So as long as he can keep track of it on orange lane and hold it, he should be in pretty good positions. Right behind him on orange is Guillermo. So orange and yellow there running pretty true to each other. 53 seconds left to go in the heat. Looks like we're starting to drop a little bit of frame action here. It might be this camera here is the camera dropping frames possibly. And it looks like Jay Latham's pulled his car. So that must have been his third strike there on green lane. Gunner and Glenn on red and white on the same lap as we get some drop frames here. And red lane's going to pop off again. That's going to be red's second strike. So right now, red and white with 2, orange with 1. 35 seconds left to go in our round robin 8 of 8. It's somewhat of a nail biter here right now with Glenn Burden and Gunner. So we see 2 cars coming off here. So orange going to receive a strike, and I believe that's going to be Gunner's last strike there. And that'll be orange's second. 15 seconds left to go in the heat. Glenn making a comment saying he didn't touch Gunner. So we'll see Glenn coming off his third time there in this turn. Having some issues back on the accelerator. Looks like the weight of the car possibly not wanting to transfer over. And there we have it, folks. We'll head over to the track mate real quick. Guillermo Sire is going to bring home a victory at 285 total laps. Nathaniel Burden, 249. 241 for Glenn Burden, 237 for Gunner, and 184 for Jay Latham. Randy Kirtley there, of course, not entering his car. Could cost him the kingship over that. Who knows? I know he was definitely in the runnings for kingship, but we will have to wait and see. So we head back over here to the main screen here, just me, but my top qualifier stuff. The guys are going to get ready to do the Hometown Heroes class coming up here next at Lanes Raceway. But that's it for the Subway Group 20 Wing Car class here at Lanes Raceway. Thank you. Special thanks to our sponsor, Subway of Livermore. Go over there and get you a Subway sandwich if you're in town. Give them a call. They'll even get you set up on a call-in order. I don't think they deliver yet. But nonetheless, thank you guys for tuning in to the Group 20 Subway class here at Lanes Raceway. God bless you guys, and we'll be firing up the Hometown Heroes class coming up next on the Oval.